Hello, I'm Robin and welcome to Molten Modular DIY. Back in the corner over here after a long time of absence, I think. But I'm back to it, needs must. I have to find an output module for a little system that I'm buying. And I happen to have the Divkid output bus kit knocking around. Now I've already got one of these already pre-built that I use all the time. It's a really useful output module. Mostly because it has these separate stereo channels going in, which means you can just plug a bunch of stuff in without having to have some kind of big horizontal mixer or some other thing going on. So if you've got a line of modular or a case of modular that has a number of different outputs, you can just plug them in and they all go to the output. They're all summed. It's a summing mixer. It all sums it to the outputs. Now, obviously, that doesn't give you any sort of level control between them or balancing between them. But you can add that by adding things like the Divkid stereo strip or by mixing elsewhere. But what's great about this is just the simplicity of being able to plug stuff in. And it's there. It's there. And for the most part, everything is more or less at the same sort of level. And so it's just superbly useful module. It also gives you proper line outputs, gives you nice big chunky headphone outputs, a nice whacking great big knob, and some level meters. It's everything you need in an output module, I would say. But I need another one for another system, and so I'm going to throw this together. Hopefully, if you're throwing one of these together, this will be helpful. Rats! This is me interjecting after I've done the whole thing. Here it is, in here. All done. Sadly, I've got to throw myself at the beginning of this video to say that I wasn't able to capture the entire build. This is a technical problem, sadly, which just drives me nuts. I mean, however, I needed to build the module. I've built the module, and that's really all that matters. And I'm just a little bit annoyed that I'm not able to share that entire journey with you. However, I can share the first bit, putting in the resistors and the diodes and those sorts of bits. That first section I can do. So I've decided that heck, I will put this up there anyway, because I've got this first section of soldering and stuff, which is vaguely interesting. And then I've got the testing at the end, which I shot differently and was able to capture that without any bother. So I've got the testing, which was fun and interesting and tells you a bit about the module, and I've got the first bit where I introduce the module and the kit and get you started with it. None of the really cool squidging it together bit was sadly captured. And because it's a DIY, you can't really go back and do it again. It's just not possible. So I am very perturbed by how which I thought quite efficient recording system just completely failed. And now that makes me worry about any other future DIY projects I do that I might happen again. Got to nail down why it happened. That's the key. Anyway, sorry to Befaco and Divkid that I wasn't able to put this into a proper big long video. But here's something about that glorious module, the output bus, which is a great thing, very useful, completely sorted out this system. Thank you very much for its existence. And I will do better. Once I've worked out what the problem was that caused this failure. Not a failure of the module. Module's brilliant. Failure of me and my technology. So there you go. So carry on. Please enjoy the rest of this soldering of resistors. I'll put some nice background music on for you to listen to, and you can chill out to that, and then you can see me troubleshooting it at the end, because I did have one little problem which I had to sort out, which makes it fun, and I did lots of little bits of testing, so there's that as well. So cool. I hope that's helpful in some way, but I'm going to get chunking through it as efficiently as I can and hopefully not spend too much time talking about it. Just get on with the build. I will speed up through various bits, like throwing all the resistors on or throwing all the capacitors on, but you can follow along in the build guide. Befaco has this sort of overview interactive thing which shows you absolutely where every single component is on the board, which is a phenomenally useful thing. But I'm going to be using, for the most part, the assembly guide which should take us through step by step, by which I mean it says, you know, install all the resistors, and that's what we're going to do. Yeah, so that's the plan. I hope to get this done this evening. So here, let's have a look at the kit. Here is the front panel, all its glory. We'll be seeing that later. That seems to be made of metal, which is always nice. We've got a couple of PCBs here which look like the sort of snapping in half type, which fills me full of horror. It does have a lot of surface mount already on there, which is cool, but there's quite a bit of soldering to do. I'm actually really looking forward to this because I haven't soldered in a while, so it's going to be good to see how this goes. I have a box of Thonky Conks. That's the sockets, because it has a lot of sockets. I've got a bag of bits here, resistors and capacitors. I should probably separate those out. I then got the big hardware bits that go on the front, the chunkier sockets, and I've got chips and holders and LEDs. So I imagine, well, look, I mean, I'm going to have to break this up, aren't I? That's going to be the first thing. So when you get a PCB like this, you can snap it. You can. I mean, you know, we're not particularly enjoying it, but you can just apply some pressure and it snaps. It's a little bit frightening every single time. I tend to end up using a pair of pliers, particularly for these edge bits here, and then I can just sort of do them a little bit more carefully than just snapping. See how that's come away? He's got this little bit on the end here I'm going to try to get rid of, otherwise that will stick out. Yeah, good. So that's one. Looks like the front panel type control board thing. No, this is it? Oh, they're both. Oh, it's clever. Right, this is interwoven. Right, that bit's got to come off. And then this bit here. All good. There's a little bit of roughness which you could take off if you fancied, in case it's going to interfere with anything either side of the module. Cool, that's two bits. Put those to one side. A couple of stickers. I mean, this kit is done by Divkid, which is great. So it's something that he was after, and Befaco have done all the business about putting the whole thing together. So it's the same way that I do my modules, which is very cool. Befaco are awesome for this. So let's have a look to see what we've got here and how we're going to be doing this. So, diodes, bunch of diodes. They look like resistors. Let's just separate everything out first. Resistors. I'm going to need, there's some more diodes. Going to need my magnifiers. Transistory type things. Flipping capacitors. There's a lot of capacitors. Right, capacitors, they can go. Don't need any of that stuff. They can go over there. They can go over there. I got all these electrolytic capacitors as well. A couple more resistors. Lots of stuff. Using my lovely new mat provided me by Loki over here, by Steve Holmes, beg your pardon, and hopefully I'm not going to lose anything on it, because usually I've got a big green thing which I don't like, but it is quite good at seeing everything, whereas this is a nicer thing to work on. I just hope I can see everything, but obviously I'm going to need my magnifiers as much as anything else. So that is the beginning then. So if we go to the manual, this is the build guide that comes from the Befaco website, and it says have fun. That's always good. So first of all, you've got a whole bunch of resistors. So funnily enough, it doesn't say solder the resistors. But that's going to be the assumption. Now I've got a whole load of ones here. I could measure them on a multimeter, or I could have a look at the bands of colour. Also I can have a look at just how many of them there are, and that tends to be a good indication. So for instance, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 of these. So these are bound to be the 100k. I'm going to need my glasses. Hang on. So there's not a whole lot of information on where you're putting these particularly, but I think we can see it. We're good enough and ugly enough now to be able to see them on here. So all the way along here is all the resistors, R1, R2, R, what's it, all the way down here, all the way down here. And what I tend to do them in batches, so I'm going to probably put in all of these, all 12, and then solder them. That's going to be the plan. Turn on the soldering iron. Plug in my soldering iron. So I'm just having a look at the colours on these old resistors. So it should be brown, black, black, orange, brown. Brown, black, black, orange, brown. Yes, indeed. That is exactly what these are. Good. So these are all 100k, and we have the numbers as to what to put them on. So it's just as simple as doing that. I'll move everything else out of the way for the moment. Now I'm going to take 4. Like that. I'm going to bend them and then sort of rotate them and bend them again. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. They go in. R1 is there. R2, R3, R4. If you have any doubts at all, if you go to that other strange page, it will show you exactly where each resistor is, but that's the first 4. So I think what I'll do, I'll just get on soldering these. I won't sort of talk about it or anything. I'm just going to put them all in, solder them all, and as I say, I'll do them in batches. Like I'll do these 12, solder them, then I'll probably do the next 2 lots, solder them, a few more, solder them, that sort of thing, that way through. Yeah, you getting this? It's relatively simple, straightforward thing to do, and I will see you on the other side. Okay, that seems to be all right. That's all the resistors on there nicely. Well, you know, relatively nicely, not exactly straight, but you know, done as it were. There's a couple that are very, very close to each other, which I'm going to assume is not really a particular problem, and they probably are in line with each other on the circuit. But from here we move to the diodes. We've got two different sorts of diodes. These big chunky ones are always the power diodes that stop the power blowing up. Oh, who knows? And these are far more regular, little low-key diodes, yeah? The 4148s. So all of these go in. It's named on the board, and the letter D for diode. So I can't see any now. Alright, there's a whole bunch knocking around in the middle. Now what's important is that you get them the right way round. So on the screen print you'll be able to see that there's a line on the thing and that has to correspond with the line on the diode here, because they can only go one way round. That's their whole purpose. So you see this, let's bring you in a little bit. So you see the line on the diode and the line on the screen print, they have to go that way round, yeah? These ones are exactly opposite coloured, pretty much, but these ones go down the bottom here somewhere. See the D8 and D7, I think those are, yeah, and they have to go this way round so that the line is with the line. You see that line and line? Yes, good. Right, so I'm going to put these in, I'm going to solder them, and then that will be done. And let's do it in this kind of close-up way. See? Yeah, nice. And there you go, that's all those lovely diodes beautifully stretched across. Yeah, they're like little ants crawling all over the place. That's what they are. Yeah, glorious. Well, I hope we got everything around the right way. That's the most important thing. And from here we move on to the ferrite beads. Didn't notice those. Oh yes, we do. Okay, ferrite beads are these two fellas here. These things, these tiny little what's it's here, and I've just thrown all my legs away, which is a shame. So you use a spare leg, right? A spare resistor leg in order to put them on. Oh, look, here's a spare. There you go, spare leg. So all you do is stick that through. I forget what it does. I'm sure it's a vital component, as everything is, obviously. And these go into the places that say ferrite, which should look like resistors down here. Ferrite and ferrite. Yeah. So I'll stick this one in here. Don't get it to behave. Like so. And I need another leg. Did I have another spare leg anywhere? I'm going to have to dig around in... Oh yeah, I'm going to have to dig around in the bin. Okay. Like so. I'm just going to put these in, and then I'm going to have a quick break before we then crack on with the capacitors. Let's just get this bit finished. Super. So they're just in there like that. Lovely. Lovely, lovely. Well, heck. It's a Monday. Monday night is fajita night. I better go and cook that. That's my plan. So I'm going to go and cook some fajitas for my family. And then with a bit of luck, I'll be able to nip back over here later on this evening to carry on with this fabulous build. I will see you then. So sadly, I did go off to make the tea. I did come back and do all the capacitors and stuff, but sadly all of that from here on in was not captured. So we're going to skip straight to the testing, and I am again very sorry about that. So this is the system that the output bus is going to go in. It's going to go in here beautifully, like so, like so. I'm not sure about this. I mean, I like to have this sort of controller, this sort of touch strip at the side of the case, because traditionally I tend to put the output module right on the edge of the case like that. But to do that, we then put that in the middle, which makes that more difficult to use. So I don't know. I will play with its position, but essentially we need to test it out at this point. So what I've just discovered, right, is that I haven't actually soldered all these jack sockets yet. Like some idiot. So I've got to do that bit first. So before we go any further, make sure that's all sat right. Just got to do that little bit. I got a little bit too excited there, didn't I? So just where we are in situ, I will solder these 3 jack sockets, which are here. One, two, three. There wasn't anything else, was there? I don't think so. Okay, good. Right, let's honestly. Let's go back to where we were. Like so. This is going in here, this way up. I need to find, there we go, a power socket, which can only go one way round in there. Whoops. Like so. It's a little bit squishy when you're doing that. You could really do with a standoff in this corner, I think. But, you know, just got to be a little bit careful, I suppose. Let's sit this back in here. But what we're really looking for at this point is kind of smoke. For anything tricky, so I'm just going to set it on its side. So we turn it on, see if anything goes boom. Okay, nothing. But there's no light or anything, because you need to have a signal going in order to have that sort of business going on. So I get this to sit. Ow. What was hot? No, nothing. I was imagining it. Phantom heat. Okay, so I need to patch something together in order to get sound to this, essentially. Now I can do that just by taking the output of the oscillator over here, plugging it into something. See if I get anything at all. Yes, look at that. Lights. Do you see that? Lights, I say. Yeah? That's good. So if I can maybe get some bouncing lights and turn up the filter. And look, we've got flashing lights this time. Flashing lights. That's beautiful. You see that all right? So that's helpful. Let's try in the top. Next one. Next one. Next one. Next one, that's good. It is stereo. So let me take a second output, plug that in the side. Yeah, that's what side, look. So you put in the left side it's mono, and the right side you just get the right side. Does that make sense? Then this is either synth in or it could be line in. It's too hot for that. Good. Great. Okay. So we're just going to plug it in the middle there somewhere, and then we're going to get some sound out by using the headphone output. With a bit of luck. Okay, that seems, I would say, to be coming out one side more than the other. That's the same, which might lead me to believe that something else is going on. So let's take the output of something else. That seems to be favouring the left, I have to say. I'm going to plug it in differently. Okay, line out. That should be the same. And it is. Okay, so that's encouraging. Oh no! Something odd going on. Oh, there's something odd going on where when I turn the phones up to maximum, something goes a little bit awry. So what am I to make of that then? I don't know. Alright, so I'm going to have to compare this to the one that I already built. That's the answer, I think. Not that I built, that I built. And if I use the headphone output, it's all fine. Okay, so there's something wrong with the one that I built, in that something going on with the phones, left hand output. So I think that's something that we can look at. So let's look at it. Oh, it's so depressing. It means I've got to spend more time looking into this thing. So let's readjust, reassess just from where we are. Okay, well, let me plug this in and just test it again. So it's a little bit to the left. No, it's not. Is it better? Yeah, it's really only coming through one side. So that's what we're going to have to look at. Maybe there was something that was hot. No? I don't know. So, the headphone one is here. So what I'm going to need to do is pull the thing apart and examine this to see what it is that's wrong, or possibly the socket itself. So that's definitely what we're going to have to do. So we're going to have a look at this pot here, or the socket. So I'm going to have to pull it apart very, very sadly, which is why I didn't put these knobs on. Yeah, I mentioned that, didn't I? Although that's the only thing that's going to have to come apart is this bottom one. So it shouldn't actually affect the knobs. So all right. Maybe I'll just be additionally cautious. But I have to take these off here because these bits are going to have to come out, and I'm going to have to do that nightmare of trying to get that back in again. So that's fun. But this is the nature of DIY, is that there's sometimes a little bit of troubleshooting to do. Sigh. Is there anything else I need to do in order to take this off? Everything else is staying. It's just these three that go through, isn't it? Pretty sure. Pretty sure it's just those three. Oh, it's not easy. Okay. Wobble wobble. So, here. Did I miss anything? Is the question. Right, we're looking at this. Okay. So I'm looking for a bridge, which I have right here. Yeah. See, that's going to be it. I've got a bridge. Oh yes. I got a proper soldering mistake. I think that'll probably be it then. Let me just see if there's anything else that's not soldered. But you know, bridge is pretty much there, isn't it? Oh, yeah, we are more or less. Okay, so it's just here. There's a couple of bits there that don't look like they've got a whole lot on, so I will just redo these leggy bits here. But otherwise, I think I've cracked it. Yeah. Yes, right. Alright, let's try to put this back together again. Okay, looking good. Looking good. So at this point I will put the knobs on. So I'm going to put that all the way over to the left. Hang that over onto the left. And then give it out some welly. And then this little one all the way over to the left. That sits there and does a similar job. Good. These are supposed to be black down here apparently. Well, maybe I've still got that other black one knocking about. Yeah. Because this slightly not quite red one just looks weird. So I'm going to get rid of that. And put this black one on. And that'll be fine. That'll be completely fine. Right. Let's try this all again. There we go. That's stereo. And then you see, I can have the output of this one running alongside, just summed to it. In fact, I'll even go through the reverb. Oh, it's going to be more complicated than that. Of course it is. I need to put that into it. No, that's a mixer. I need to put this into a thing. Like that. I need a couple more cables to clock that. Then take that. Trigger that, not to trigger that, to do that to it, and then I need another thing to trigger this one. It's always another cable. Superb. This over here, this little fella, the output bus, totally brilliant. Totally brilliant. Line out. I've also got a modular level out so you can route back into another module somewhere else, so it doesn't have to be an output bus. It could be a partial summing mixer to something else. Otherwise you've got line output, headphone output on big and small jacks, couple of nice big level controls, metering, and this, because the surface is quiet, I can actually put it into this bottom input here and swap it to line, and that gives it a boost, which is perfect. So these two are a little bit more accurately, a little bit more similar now. So yeah, there we go. So there you go, the output bus. Good build, nicely done, I thought, nicely troubleshooted. I thought I got through that all right. Could have been a whole lot worse. But no, that's brilliant. That means I can finish this system, and I've now got 3 beautiful little systems to rent out to people at Synth Picnic. Fantastic. Good job. onwards and upwards. Hope that was helpful. In the meantime, go make some tunes.